There are moments in life when silence becomes louder than words, when the empty space beside you feels heavier than any burden you've ever carried. You wake up, you move, you smile for the world, but inside, something is missing. Not success, not money, not applause, just love. We live in a world that tells us to be strong, to be independent, to never need anyone, but the truth is the strongest hearts are the ones that admit they are tired of fighting alone. The bravest souls are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who whisper, "I need your love," and still stand back up. This is not a speech about weakness. This is a declaration of humanity, because every scar, every sleepless night, every quiet tear has been carrying the same message. I don't need perfection. I don't need forever. I just need to know that somewhere, someone chooses me tonight. We are not running from that truth. We are facing it. We are owning it. We are turning pain into power, because when you stop begging for love and start becoming the kind of soul that love recognizes, everything changes, and this is where your healing begins. There are words people are afraid to say out loud, not because they are weak, but because they are honest. And honesty exposes the parts of us we try to hide, even from ourselves. I need your love is one of those words. It carries a weight heavier than anger, deeper than sadness, stronger than pride. It is not a request for rescue. It is not a confession of failure. It is the echo of a heart that has been standing in storms for too long, pretending the rain does not touch it, pretending the cold does not sink into its bones, pretending the loneliness is only temporary, when it has already started to feel like a permanent companion. People wear armor made of jokes, ambition, silence, or strength, but beneath all of it, most hearts are quietly starving, not for attention, not for validation, but for a single presence that feels safe, a single soul that says, "You don't have to carry this alone." We are taught from an early age that needing is dangerous, that wanting love makes you dependent, that asking for it makes you small. So we learn to perform independence like a role in a movie we never auditioned for. We tell ourselves we are fine. We convince others we are okay. We master the art of smiling while something inside us feels empty. And over time, that emptiness grows into a quiet ache, the kind that doesn't scream but never leaves. It sits with you when you wake up. It walks beside you when you go to work. It lies next to you when you fall asleep. You try to drown it in success, in distractions, in people who pass through your life like seasons, but the ache remains patient and persistent, reminding you that the human heart was never designed to survive without connection. Admitting that you need love is not weakness, it is courage. It takes strength to remove the mask and say, "I am not okay being alone all the time." It takes bravery to face the truth that no amount of achievement can replace emotional closeness, that no crowd can replace one person who truly sees you. The world celebrates the image of the lone warrior, the self-made soul, the one who needs no one. But even the strongest warrior needs a place to rest. Even the bravest soul needs to be held. Not because they are broken, but because they are human. When you say, "I need your love," you are not saying "save me." You are saying "walk with me." You are not asking someone to complete you. You are asking someone to witness you. There is a difference between dependency and connection, between emptiness and longing. Longing is the heart reaching for something real. It is the soul remembering that it was meant to share, to belong, to be chosen. Love is not a luxury. It is not a reward for success. It is a basic need, like air, like warmth, like light. And just like those, you begin to suffocate when you deny yourself access to it. So many people carry shame for wanting to be loved. They think it makes them needy, desperate, fragile. They compare themselves to those who seem emotionally untouchable, who move through life as if nothing can hurt them. But those people often carry their own quiet hunger, buried under layers of indifference. We are all trying to survive the same ache in different ways. Some run from it, some numb it, some pretend it does not exist. But the ones who grow are the ones who face it, who sit with it, who listen to what it is trying to say. The hunger for love is not a flaw. it is a signal. It tells you that your heart is still alive, still capable of feeling, still open to connection. A heart that does not long is a heart that has given up, and you have not given up. You are still here. You are still hoping, even if you pretend you are not. You are still waiting, even if you act like you are done. That quiet desire inside you is proof that you believe in something better, even when life has given you reasons not to. There are nights when the RLD feels too heavy, when the silence becomes unbearable, when you wish someone would simply sit beside you and understand without asking questions, not to fix you, not to judge you, just to be there. Those moments are not signs of weakness. They are moments of truth. They are reminders that you were never meant to be an island, that your strength does not come from isolation, but from the connections that remind you who you are. When you deny your need for love, you deny a part of your humanity. You build walls instead of bridges. You protect yourself from pain, but you also protect yourself from joy. You convince yourself that being alone is safer, that needing someone gives them power over you. But love is not about power. It is about presence. It is about choosing each other, not because you are afraid to be alone, but because life feels richer when shared. There's a difference between wanting love to fill a void and wanting love to share your fullness. Admitting you need love does not mean you are empty. It means you are open. It means you are aware that even a strong, whole person still desires connection. You can stand on your own and still reach for another hand. Independence does not cancel out intimacy. Strength does not cancel out vulnerability. They can exist together, supporting each other, balancing each other. The world will try to tell you that love is a distraction, that it makes you soft, that it weakens your focus, but love is not what breaks you. The upset NCE of it is what slowly drains you. Love does not take away your power, it reminds you of it. It gives you a reason to keep going when the road feels endless. It gives you a place to return to when everything else feels uncertain. When you finally allow yourself to say, I need your love, something shifts. The weight you have been carrying begins to feel lighter. Not because your problems disappear, but because you are no longer carrying them alone. There is a freedom in honesty. There is relief in letting yourself be seen. There is strength in choosing connection over isolation, truth over pride, openness over fear. You do not need to apologize for wanting to be loved. You do not need to justify your longing. You do not need to pretend you are above it. Love is not a weakness to overcome. It is a force to embrace. It is the quiet energy that keeps you moving, the invisible thread that connects you to the world around you. So let the words rise without shame. Let them breathe in the open air. Let them be heard. I need your love. Not as a cry for rescue, but as a statement of life. As a reminder that you are still here, still feeling, still hoping. As proof that your heart has not closed, that your spirit has not hardened, that you still believe in something greater than loneliness. Because the moment you stop running from that truth, the moment you stop hiding from your own longing, you begin to heal. You begin to see that needing love does not make you small, it makes you real. It makes you human. It makes you brave. Inside every adult, there is a child who once believed they could be loved unconditionally, who once trusted without hesitation, who once hoped without fear. That child carries memories of moments when love was inconsistent, absent, or unkind. And though we grow older, that child does not simply disappear. It lingers in our laughter, our fears, our relationships, shaping how we give love and how we receive it. Healing begins when we stop ignoring that child, when we stop pretending they never existed, when we sit quietly and let ourselves feel the loneliness, the longing, the hurt that was left behind. This is not about blaming anyone who was part of that childhood. It is about acknowledging the truth of our experiences, about holding space for the pain that shaped us, about whispering to ourselves the words we may never have heard. You are enough. You are seen. You are worthy of love. The process of healing is slow, uneven, and often uncomfortable because it requires revisiting old wounds, reliving old fears, and giving ourselves the compassion we once lacked. The child inside you who felt abandoned does not need grand gestures or dramatic apologies. They need presence. They need patience. They need to know that now, as an adult, you are willing to protect them, comfort them, and choose them every day. By healing that child, you stop repeating patterns of fear, dependence, or avoidance. You start to love yourself in ways that no one else can, and paradoxically, that is when true love from others begins to flow naturally. Healing that inner child is not a weakness. It is a reclamation of your soul. It is the courageous act of facing the emptiness left by neglect and filling it with understanding, gentleness, and patience. It is acknowledging that the longing you have now is connected to that child, and by tending to them, you honor your journey and open the door to love that is real, grounded, and whole. There comes a moment in life when you have to face a truth that most people avoid, a truth that sits quietly in the back of your mind, but refuses to be silenced. That truth is this: we are often guilty of giving our hearts away to people who do not deserve them, to relationships that drain us instead of sustain us, to moments that feel like love, but are really just shadows of it. It is uncomfortable, even painful, to admit this. It hurts to realize that the longing you feel, the ache that wakes you at night, is not because you are unlovable, but because you have been looking for love in places where it could not possibly exist. You have been chasing someone else's approval, their attention, their affection, and in the process, you have forgotten how to value yourself. You have built your life around the needs of someone else, around their willingness to stay, around their ability to give, and you have been pretending that this is enough. You have been pretending that their love, when it comes sporadically or conditionally, is what makes you whole, when in reality, your wholeness was never dependent on them. Choosing self-worth over emotional dependency is one of the hardest battles you will ever fight, because it forces you to confront the deepest parts of yourself, the parts you have tried to hide even from yourself. It requires brutal honesty. It requires you to see the moments when you compromised your values, your time, your energy, your dreams, in order to hold on to someone who was never fully present. It forces you to confront the moments when you stayed silent, because speaking your truth might have pushed them away. It forces you to admit that you begged silently in your mind, please stay, please care, please see me, even when you knew that their capacity to love was limited, even when you knew that they might never fully understand or appreciate your heart. That honesty is heavy. It is uncomfortable. It can feel like shame, but it is necessary, because without it, you will continue to surrender pieces of yourself to relationships that cannot return them. Emotional dependency is subtle. It disguises itself as care, attachment, or love. It creeps into your thoughts in the form of worry. Are they texting me because they want to, or because they feel obligated? It creeps in the form of fear. If I leave, will I be alone forever? It creeps in the form of compromise. Maybe I should ignore what I want in order to keep the peace. And it creeps into your heart in the form of hope. Maybe tomorrow will be different. Maybe they will see me. Maybe they will love me the way I want. Emotional dependency tells you that your happiness is someone else's responsibility, that your value is contingent on someone else's presence, that your stability depends on their consistency. And the truth is, leaning on someone else in that way is like building a house on sand. It may look beautiful, but when the tide comes, it will collapse, leaving you with nothing but wreckage and regret. Choosing self-worth is about refusing to live your life like that. It is about looking at the patterns of your past relationships, the moments when you gave too much and received too little, and deciding that you deserve better, not because you are entitled, not because you are selfish, but because your heart, your mind, your soul, your very being deserves dignity. It is about standing alone and realizing that solitude is not your enemy, that being alone is not synonymous with being unloved. It is about embracing your own presence, celebrating your own existence, and cultivating a relationship with yourself that is steady, nurturing, and unshakable. This is not a superficial act. This is not a cliche. This is a profound, sometimes lonely, sometimes painful, always necessary declaration. I am enough. I am worthy. I do not need someone else to fill me, because I am already whole. The process of choosing self-worth over emotion. Dependency is not linear. There will be moments when you falter, when the memories of past neglect or abandonment pull you back into old habits, when the voice inside whispers, maybe I can make it work this time. Maybe I can be enough if I try harder. Those are the dangerous moments. Those are the moments that test the strength of your self-respect. Because the truth is, love that requires you to compromise your essence, to silence your voice, to shrink yourself to fit someone else's comfort is not love. It is a trap disguised as care. And the hardest part of honesty is realizing that letting go of that trap is necessary, even if it hurts, even if you fear loneliness, even if the world has taught you that being single or unattached is failure. It is not failure. It is survival. It is growth. It is courage. When you choose yourself, when you choose to honor your own heart, something remarkable happens. The anxiety that once consumed you, the constant second-guessing, the endless need for reassurance begins to fade. You start to recognize patterns before they repeat. You begin to understand the difference between someone who loves you for who you are and someone who wants you to be who they need. You learn to set boundaries without guilt. You learn to say no without fear. You learn to prioritize your emotional health above the fleeting validation of others. And slowly, you reclaim the power that you had unknowingly surrendered. You become the keeper of your own heart instead of handing it to anyone willing to take it. This is not to say that choosing self-worth is easy. It is messy, complicated, and sometimes devastating. It forces you to watch people leave, to feel the emptiness you once tried to ignore, to sit why. The silence that you once tried to fill with someone else's presence. It forces you to face your own fears of abandonment, rejection, and inadequacy. But the alternative is far worse, continuing to live in quiet desperation, sacrificing pieces of yourself in the hope that someone else will see value in you that you had denied to yourself. The truth is that love that is worth having begins with you. Not with someone else, not with approval, not with permission. With you, there will be days when you feel weak, when the temptation to cling to old patterns is strong, when the familiar ache of emotional dependency calls your name. On those days, remind yourself that your worth is not negotiable. Remind yourself that the love you seek from others is only meaningful if it complements the love you already have for yourself. Remind yourself that every compromise that diminishes your self-respect is a betrayal to the person you have fought so hard to become. And remind yourself that honesty, no matter how painful, is the only path to freedom. Choosing self-worth over emotional dependency is an act of rebellion. In a world that constantly tells you to settle, to lower your expectations, to accept crumbs of affection, to confuse attachment for love, it is a quiet revolution within yourself, a steadfast commitment to honor your own heart above all else, to refuse to let anyone else define your value, to cultivate a life where love is an addition, not a requirement, where partnership is a celebration, not a necessity. It is a commitment to live fully, to feel deeply, to protect your own spirit, and to never apologize for being human. And as you walk this path, something miraculous occurs. The love you have been seeking externally begins to appear internally. You recognize it in the quiet moments, in the self-care rituals, in the decisions that honor your boundaries, in the way you look at yourself with compassion instead of judgment. You understand that emotional dependency is not love, it is fear disguised as need. And when that fear subsides, you can finally experience love as it was meant to be experienced, freely, openly, without bargaining, without desperation, without the burden of trying to make someone else see your value. There is freedom in choosing yourself. There is clarity in recognizing that your heart is not a price to be earned, a commodity to be traded, or a possession to be validated. Your heart is yours, your love is yours, your worth is yours, and when you finally accept that, you no longer live in quiet longing, no longer measure yourself against the attention of others, no longer allow fear to dictate your relationships. You stand with honesty, with courage, with self-respect, and with the unshakable knowledge that you are enough just as you are. Choosing self-worth over emotional dependency is the ultimate act of love, because it is the first person you must love before anyone else. It is not selfish. It is not prideful. It is essential. And though the journey is long, the lessons are hard, and the nights can feel empty, the result is a heart that is strong, grounded, and capable of giving and receiving. Love without fear, without compromise, and without losing itself along the way is the hardest truth, but the most honest one. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot love another fully until you love yourself first. You cannot rely on someone else's affection to define your value, because your value is inherent, undeniable, and infinite. Choosing self-worth over emotional dependency is choosing life, choosing freedom, choosing authenticity, choosing yourself. And in that choice, every step forward is a reclamation of the heart that has waited patiently, quietly, and courageously for this moment. We spend so much of our lives chasing love, as if it is something that exists outside of ourselves, as if it is a prize we can earn, a validation we can force, or a feeling someone else can hand to us. We measure every interaction, every word, every glance, hoping it will prove to us that we are wanted, that we are worthy, that we are loved. And when we do not receive the response we crave, the ache in our chest grows heavier, the emptiness deeper, the fear louder. We confuse chasing love with living love, and in that confusion we forget the most important truth. Love is not something you hunt. It is something you embody. Becoming love does not mean ignoring your pain or pretending the hunger for a connection does not exist. It means embracing your humanity, acknowledging your longing, and refusing to allow it to define your worth. It means seeing that the heart that feels loneliness is the same heart capable of creating profound connection, the same heart that can radiate kindness even when it has been hurt, the same heart that can give without needing to take in return. To become love is to take full responsibility for the energy you carry, the way you treat yourself, the way you allow others to touch your life. It is not about control. It is not about manipulation. It is not about forcing anyone to respond to your desire. It is about creating a state of being where love is the language, the rhythm, the essence of who you are. Chasing love often creates desperation. It makes us anxious, clingy, and fearful of loss. We measure every gesture, every message, every word, because we believe that our happiness is contingent on someone else's attention. Emotional dependency grows from that pattern, and it erodes the very thing we hope to protect, our hearts. But when we shift from chasing to becoming, everything changes. We stop giving power to the external. We stop seeking validation. We stop asking for proof of worth. Instead, we turn inward. We nurture ourselves. We forgive ourselves for our past mistakes. We honor our own existence, our own needs, our own desires. And in that space, love stops being a demand and becomes a natural consequence of living. Authentically, becoming also means learning to love without expectation. It means practicing patience with yourself and others, knowing that no one will meet you perfectly, that no one can fully fill the spaces you once tried to fill with longing. You stop trying to complete others or have them complete you. Instead, you recognize that love is a shared experience, a dance between two whole beings, not a transaction where emptiness is exchanged for affection. You learn to give without needing a return. You learn to hold space without needing someone to stay. You learn to show up fully, even when it is hard, and even when the world does not notice. In becoming love, you heal the wounds that once made you chase. You recognize the patterns that made you dependent. You see the moments when you gave too much, sacrificed too often, or ignored your own needs. And you make a choice not to erase those experiences, but to integrate them, to allow them to teach you what love is and what it is not, to understand that scarcity is an illusion, that fear is temporary, that connection flows naturally when the heart is open, honest, and whole. Love that is embodied has gravity. It attracts without force. It draws others not because they are obligated to respond, but because they recognize something real, something steady, something profound. When you become love, people feel it. It is in your presence, your voice, your energy, your choices. They see a person who does not need to chase because they are already complete. They see a person who gives freely because they have learned that giving does not diminish, it multiplies. They see a person who is healed enough to hold space, to accept imperfections, to allow growth, to honor freedom. But becoming love is not a destination, it is a practice, a daily commitment. It requires mindfulness, self-compassion, honesty, and courage. It requires noticing when fear, jealousy, or insecurity arises, and responding with awareness rather than reaction. It requires patience with yourself and the world, recognizing that not everyone will mirror your love, that not every connection will succeed, that not every desire will be fulfilled exactly as imagined. And yet, even in the absence of perfect outcomes, you continue to be love. You continue to radiate the energy that your heart was meant to give. You continue to embody the presence that allows authentic connection to flourish in this process. You stop seeking to control, to manipulate, to convince others of your worth. You stop measuring love in terms of receipts, texts, attention, or confirmation. You stop confusing desire with necessity, want with need, longing with survival. You recognize that the most profound love is freely given, unbound by obligation, anchored not in desperation but in presence. You understand that your heart was never meant to be contingent on someone else's actions, but to shine with its own light, and that the brightest connections emerge when two lights meet, not when one relies on the other to burn. When you fully embody love, life begins to shift. Relationships become less about need and more about choice. They become less about fear and more about trust. They become less about dependency and more about shared growth. You experience a freedom that you have never known, a clarity that allows you to see people and connections as they truly are, not as projections of your longing. And you realize that the ache you once felt, the emptiness you once carried, was never a curse, it was a signal. It was a call to return home to yourself, to cultivate the love that resides within, and to allow it to shape every relationship, every connection, every choice you make. Becoming love is not a guarantee that life will be easy or that relationships will always succeed. You will still experience loss, disappointment, heartbreak. You will still face moments of loneliness and longing. But the difference is profound. You will no longer chase what is fleeting. You will no longer compromise your worth. You will no longer measure your value against someone else's attention. Instead, you will walk through life with an open heart, grounded in your own presence, radiating the energy that only someone who has become love can radiate. And in that energy, the love you have been searching for finally finds its way to you, naturally, authentically, without force, without desperation, without losing yourself. To become love is to choose honesty, to choose courage, to choose authenticity. It is to declare to yourself and the world that you are enough, that your heart is whole, that your capacity to give and receive is infinite. It is to release fear and dependency, to honor your own soul, and to trust that the connections that matter will meet you where you are. It is the most radical, freeing, transformative act a human being can take, and it begins always within.